We are doing a recap of the race walk and a preview of the women's race walk here at the 2008 Olympic Track and Field Trials in Eugene, Oregon. And with me is Gary Morgan. Gary is a 1988 Olympian himself in the race walk, and he knows all about it. So, Gary, tell us a little bit about what you saw this morning during the men's race walk. How many people do we have going to Beijing?
At this point, and definitely for the final count, it's going to be just one. It's going to be Kevin Eastler. He's a lieutenant in the Air Force and really a fine walker. I think he'll do pretty well over in Beijing. Recapping today's race, Kevin just took it out at around a 7-minute pace. He let a couple other guys be ahead of him for probably 5-6 kilometers. And then he took over the race, probably about 7 kilometers. And then he just basically cruised in for the victory from there, walking 1:27.06, walking very relaxed. I thought he looked absolutely fantastic today walking. Definitely, he was the class of the field today, and I think he'll represent the USA very well over in Beijing.
What kind of a pace is 120 race walk?
120 is 6:30 per mile, but now Kevin today walking 127 is 7 minutes per mile, which is moving right along.
Moving right along for even people who run, most of us.
A very quick pedestrian pace.
Okay. Well, now, what happened to the other two? We'll have a second and third here at the trials, but it sounds like they didn't get the standard they needed.
No, they did not. The second place was Matt Boyles, and he also took a second place in the 50-kilometer walk, and he did not get the standard in either one of them, even a B standard in either event. But he's young. 4 years, he can keep on training, and I think he could do very well in the next Olympiad. The third place guy, I think, is a very young and rising talent, the Patrick Strope. I even coached him on a junior team a couple of years ago, and he's made tremendous strides, and he's a very strong walker, and I believe he'll become a very good 50-kilometer walker in the future. So I look for him to do very well in the next Olympiad.
Speaking of the 50K walk, let's talk about that. That was back in February, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was down in Miami, Florida, and the conditions, of course, are always brutal in Florida. It was a warm day, and it was very tough on the whole field. But Philip Dunn, he's been on our national team since '93, and he's a two-time Olympian already in the 50K walk. And he ended up winning the race with a time of, I think, 4:12 at the time. And which he did not even have a B standard himself. He went to the World Cup in Russia in May and got the B standard with a time of 4:05, and the B standard was 4:07.
So he's going to Beijing all by himself.
Yes, he is. So at this point, we're sending one man in the 50 and one in the 20.
Well, now, tomorrow, on Sunday, the last day of these trials, is the women's 20K race walk, and they don't have a 50, do they?
No, they don't. They just have one event, and they're kind of the same boat as the men. There's two women who have B standards, 2004 Olympian Teresa Vale and Joanne Dow. They've been longtime competitors against each other. Teresa Vale, she's been walking forever. She's a national class walker when I first started in '82. So she finally made the Olympic team last time around, and she's kept on going. And then Joanne has done very well over the last 10 years, but had a little bit of a injury problem 4 years ago. And at this point, she's been fighting off some things, different injuries and illness. But she seems to be back in top form. So I believe tomorrow's race will be very exciting between Joanne and Teresa Vale.
That sounds pretty exciting with two veterans. But there's one person I want to talk about. I think she's kind of an interesting story, and that's Kristen Mullaney. Kristen is from Michigan, and she had an accident. It was a car accident.
Well, it was a recreational accident. She was down in one of the Caribbean islands. She went out mountain biking, and the hill she was coming down, there was a four-wheeler who was going up, and she got hit by the four-wheeler and had a traumatic head injury after that. Was hospitalized for quite some time, and then came back and got herself qualified for the Olympic trials. And what's interesting about that is because in 1996 she tried qualifying, missed the time by 1 second. Back then the women only walked 10K, and missed it by just 1 second. Then walked another year, and then basically quit walking, and then decided after this accident, and for her recovery she started walking and started making some improvement, and then decided, well, I'm going to try and go for the Olympic trials. And she made it, and so it's a major comeback story. I really give her all the kudos in the world for doing it. I mean, she worked very hard, very tenacious spirit with Kristen to do that.
Well, I heard from her at one point where she said she'd been running in the meantime, and her doctor told her she had to stop doing that once she got the brain injury. But she thinks that being in shape is really what saved her life.
I believe so. It's made her very, very tough. I mean, from what I'd heard from some other people, that she was in the hospital for quite some time. And with her tenacious spirit and just wanting to to be athletic and to do things, I believe that definitely saved her life and has made her, mobile and be able to do things. And for her to come back and make the Olympic trials is really a show of big courage on her part.
Well, so there it is. Race walking, the men are done. The women are yet to go tomorrow. So long today from the U.S. Olympic Team Trials Track and Field in Eugene, Oregon, with Gary Morgan and me, Jenny McCafferty. Thank you.